Welcome to a new episode of Vyapar, a show where we explore the journeys of entrepreneurs and the businesses that they've built. I'm your host Sid, and with me this week is Sankalp and his brother Shreyas, who are the co-founders of Value Earth. Before we go to the interview and before I ask the questions to the co-founders, I just want to give a brief about the company. So at the very core, Value Earth creates products which are eco-friendly and are plastic free. They make bamboo straws, bowls that are made from coconut, and a lot of other everyday objects that you use using very innovative and very natural elements. And I don't have to tell you that if we don't get rid of single use plastic, the result will be catastrophic. Oceans and landfills will be flooded with it, and we'll run out of space because plastic is a very big issue. I think people like us, we don't take it seriously, but Sankalp and Shreyas are creating something. Their company is doing amazing stuff to tackle this situation, and Value Earth is doing its bit to make this planet a better place to live. So let's hear it from Sankalp and Shreyas. Welcome to the show, guys. I'm really excited to have you guys.
Thank you so much, Siddharth.
Thank you.
All right. So tell me, how did it all start? Like, how did you get the idea of starting a company which makes plastic alternatives? And was it something you guys always wanted to do for a long time? Like, Sankalp, did you always have this plan all along that, I want to create a company which is making products which are plastic free?
No, Siddharth, definitely it was a blissful serendipity to start with. This idea came to my brother Shreyash. He was in Vietnam for his college project, and he was working there. And in a cafe, he saw that people are using bamboo straw instead of single-use plastic straw. So that struck. That very idea of using something eco-friendly instead of single-use plastic struck his mind, and he brought back that idea with a new vision to his campus. He made a project out of it, and that project eventually became a company that Value Earth is today. So my part in Value Earth is just to support his vision and to give a direction to his vision, and that's how the company started. It all started with seeing something new in a different country and then adopting it in India and creating using natural resources that are available in India. There's so much this country has to offer us in terms of eco-friendly materials, and we try and create beautiful eco-friendly products which can be used as a replacement for single-use plastic. So that's how it all started, Siddharth. If Shreyash has something to add, that would be great.
Yeah, so coming back to India, I started doing more research how I could replace plastic straws or single-use straws with eco-friendly straws. I started doing more research, and I came to know that these bamboo straws are were already being used in Assam like from years back, because Assamese people using these straws since years to drink rice beers. So it has some history. So and bamboo has been already being used in India since very long, and the species we have in bamboo are like 136 species we have. So
Wow.
many more can be made from bamboo, and there are n number of other eco-friendly materials which can be used to make eco-friendly products out of it, and which can be used as a replacement for plastic.
So did you go to Assam? Like, did you visit Assam personally, or what was the research like? Were you doing it?
Yeah.
Were you traveling all over India to see what products are already out there, and what sort of competition you have? Because I think this is a very unorganized market. There is no organized player, big player in the market.
Yes.
So how was the research phase like?
Yeah, so as a part of my case study, I went to Assam, I visited Assam, and I went to Borpeta, which is near Guwahati, which is an Naxalite area where people don't have employment, and they are struggling with their day to day life, but they are actually using bamboo in their day-to-day life. So bamboo has been already being used there. So this bamboo straws concept I have seen there, and from there we started employing more and more people and started procuring bamboo straws, started supplying it to Indian market, and started supplying it to out of India. So that's how it started.
That's great, man. And so tell me something about your products. Like, what are some products that have really caught on with the customers? And some, I know you're very big in straws, but is there any other product which the customers really use it on a daily basis, or you're getting a lot of orders of that particular product? So tell me something about that.
Yeah. So to cater more demand and to replace more plastic, we started exploring how we can replace more plastic with eco-friendly products. Starting with the bamboo, we have in our platter bamboo straws, then bamboo toothbrush, bamboo tongue cleaner. We have bamboo combs, then reusable coconut shell bowls, then spoons we have which are made from reclaimed wood. Then we have recycled paper stationery, which is made from totally recycled paper, and it is a plantable one. So on top of the pencil, we have a capsule which is soluble and it has seeds in it. So once
Oh,
the
wow.
pencil gets over, you just have to put it in the soil and start keep watering it for 10 to 12 days, and you can see plants out of it. These are the unique ideas on we are working, and it is really going very well.
That's awesome. Like I have never heard of anything like that. The pencil, when you've used the pencil, then you can put it in soil, and like that's just the most sustainable way of doing things. So Sankalp, also one question that I had, in my mind was, how do you choose your raw materials? For example, you are creating straws with bamboos, okay, and you create cups with coconut shells. So how do you decide that which raw material fits perfectly for a particular product? Is there any thought process behind it, like bamboo is going to go well with straws and coconut is going to go good with bowls? So is there any particular way of doing it?
Sure. So we look at certain factors when choosing a material for as a raw material. First of all, it has to be natural. We don't want to go into something synthetic or fabricated materials. We only use natural materials. So this is the first criteria, and the second one is it has to be locally sourced. We
Hmm.
try procure products which are available in India in abundance, and products which are generally thrown out without being used properly. If we can procure these products, first of all, if it is locally sourced, the procurement cost will be less. And also, if it doesn't have any value in the market, apart from the value that we are going to create with that product, we will be able to procure that product in a cheaper way. So these are certain ways in which we these are certain factors which we look at when procuring raw materials and looking for materials out of which we create beautiful products.
And what about the creation process? What, how do you get to the end product? For example, let's say I've ordered like 100 bamboo straws from Value Earth. How does the process work from, from the starting to the end? Like, can you walk me through that? How do you get the bamboo? Then who makes the bamboo? Do you outsource it, or you're making it on your own? And then how does the delivery work? Can you tell me how the entire process works from the ground up?
Sure. Let me first walk you through how the entire process goes on. So we have a team of creative people. Juhi, she is currently leading our product design, and she is always on the lookout for interesting eco-friendly products. She's a furniture and product designer, so she works with her team and she comes up with innovative, creative products. Once the final design is agreed upon by everyone, then we see how what are the raw materials used for the design to be made. Then we look out for vendors if the raw materials can be procured from them. We look out for vendors which are locally available. Now also we have employed a lot of people from tribal community, people who live in the jungles, people who live in Naxalite areas. So we connect with the tribe head of these communities, and we teach them how to make these products. These people are excellently intelligent people. These are very sharp people, and they learn very quickly. And also, not only that we teach them how to make it, they teach us how to make it. So Yeah, because they know better techniques than what we can know about, because they are the people who are working and living in the forest, so they tell us how this can be made quickly and more beautifully. So with the help of them, we collaborate with these people, we have employed them, and then these also act as a stable source of income to these people. Once these are done, these products come in our inventory, we stock them, and then we also have employed lot of people who lost their job during this pandemic, a lot of cooks, maids. So these are the people who come with a lot of enthusiasm and help in our inventory sorting, maintaining our inventory, packaging, and then seeing the logistics for delivery. And all our packaging are plastic free. We try and use all the eco-friendly materials in our packaging as well, so that we can deliver end-to-end eco-friendly product to the customer's hand.
I think the best part about Value Earth, like when I first spoke to you, was that the employment opportunities that you're providing to the tribal guys, to the Naxalites as well, and to the people who were unemployed during COVID as well. So just kudos to you guys for making life good for other people and truly transforming their lives. Not only the customers, but also the people who lost their jobs. So again, I feel great that you guys are doing it. So another question that I have is, plastic is a very sticky product because it gets very difficult to get people to switch from plastic to bamboo straws and more sustainable products. So what is the biggest challenge that you guys face on a daily basis to scale Value Earth, to expand this company?
Okay, Siddharth, plastic, I would say it is more, it's equal and more harmful than a tobacco, to draw a comparison. If you see people who use tobacco, they are addicted to using tobacco. People who use plastic, we all are addicted to using plastic. In tobacco's case, we know that using tobacco is harmful, but in plastic's case, most of the people don't even know that using plastic is harmful. It's a very bad scenario that we are currently stuck in when we are talking about using plastic. You are right when you say plastic is a very sticky product. Stickiness comes because of the availability of plastic in today's world.
Hmm.
Plastic is available everywhere. See, even if you like using bamboo straw, if you go to a coconut water vendor, you won't get a bamboo straw there. You have to carry your own bamboo straw.
Yeah.
So the thing is, if you forget to carry bamboo straw with you, most likely you would be ending up using a plastic straw. You
Hmm.
actually don't need plastic or any kind of straw to drink coconut water from the coconut, but we still use it. That's another story.
Yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of challenges. First one is accessibility. People face this issue of carrying sustainable products, even though they know that it's good for them, plastic is harmful for them. It's the habit of using
Hmm.
what is available to us without taking that extra effort of making the things that we want to use available to us. So that's one thing. Second one is awareness. People are still not aware that there's a lot of harmful things that plastic cause to us in terms of our health.
Hmm.
So if you see that degradation of plastic process, these plastic eventually breaks down into microplastic. These microplastic end up in our soil, in our water, drinking water, and also in our food.
Hmm.
So once these plastic microplastic go inside our intestine, it keeps on accumulating because it's not digestible. It keeps on
and
accumulating,
and it's
and
not
we
and it's not filtered also, right? Like even if people are using that water filtration devices in their homes, that cannot filter microplastic, right?
yes, microplastics are so tiny that it cannot be filtered, and also it keeps on accumulating in our intestine, and we drown in the plastic that we flood in this earth.
Hmm.
So that's how I will say. And it's high time that we realize that plastic is not only harming humans, it's also harming other flora and fauna on this earth. So we are also harming a lot of wild animals, domesticated animals around us. Cows, they are suffocated with plastic. It's not easy for them to
Yeah.
it's not easy for them to eat the food. They don't have hands like us. We just put our waste food in the plastic and throw it away. They eat that plastic as well, and it suffocates them.
I think,
So
yeah.
awareness and accessibility are the two major challenges that we face when it comes to scaling up our business.
Yeah, and I think that's gonna take time. It's positive. I'm pretty optimistic that people are slowly becoming more aware, because they are understanding the fact that if we go on at this rate, Earth is it's gonna become unsustainable to live in this way. So, but it's a slow process, right? Like people, because you have to make a conscious choice. Like if I'm to carry, if even if I buy a bamboo straw from you, then I have to make that conscious choice of carrying the bamboo straw with me. And even if I have bought a bamboo straw, and if I'm not carrying it with me, then the purchase does not make sense. I mean, even how much ever sustainable I want to be, I have to be very conscious. Like I think people need to understand that to change this world, you have to make that conscious decision, because subconsciously we are using plastic. And who am I to blame? Because even when I'm going out and I'm buying milk, or even if I'm drinking any juice, I don't make that conscious choice. So yeah, I mean, it's going to take time. And Shreyas, I wanted to get your personal take on this. So we have spoken about the bad side of plastic and stuff, but the fact of the matter is that plastic alternative as an industry is growing tremendously. So what do you think is the potential of plastic alternatives as a market segment? And is the consumer, like, is the Indian consumer ready for the shift? And what do you think is the size going to be like in the future of this market?
Okay, so at this point of time, Indian customers are not ready, but slowly they are doing this switch, and I really appreciate for those who are trying to do this switch. And it is a slow process. It has to be a gradual process, because we all are used to using plastic. We have to do a slow switch, and if we think of a longer run, then it would eventually will pay off. This is the way we can do this slow switch, and we can take it ahead.
All right. So what do you think is the potential though of the industry as a whole? Like Sankalp, if you could answer this, like, because I think it's a growing industry. People like you are doing it. I think you must be having a lot of competitors as well, not at a very large scale, but at a similar or lower scale than what you guys are doing. So do you see more people, more companies coming in this space, building more plastic alternative products? And where do you see the industry going in the long run?
Sure. Siddharth, currently, if we talk about India, India has a great potential for this kind of products. It's a great market, because there are two markets, I would say. If we talk about competition, it's a blue ocean or a red ocean. So we are not competing in a red ocean. The market is not saturated.
Hmm.
It's a huge available market, and there are enough space for every company that who wants to come in and pitch in their eco-friendly products, because people are ready. If we can create that awareness about these products, people are ready to buy it, because awareness is the first thing that will be driving the sales. So there is a huge potential for growth for this kind of industry in India. Also, government is supporting this initiative. There is a plastic ban that government is wanting to implement. So that kind of initiatives can be supported. Government is doing that thing to help all of these SMEs to grow up. And regarding people, with the drive of social media, with the drive of internet, people are becoming very much aware about the harmful effects of plastic on them in their lifestyle, and also they are ready to adopt these new products that come to their way. It's just that we have to make these products available in mass quantity to them, and bring this innovative, creative, beautiful products from our local parts, rural areas, to the mainstream markets. So there's enough space for every company to come in, and there's a huge potential.
Awesome, awesome. And do you plan to enter into any new business vertical? Because I remember you were telling me that you also wanted to explore the services side of this. Like you were telling me that if there is a school that wants to create sustainable products, and you want to be their go-to company, like if a school wants to replace all the pencils or probably straws, so are you looking to expand into the services side of things? And how are things looking on that front?
Yes, Siddharth. So our long-term vision is to help transform communities into a sustainable lifestyle. Now, this vision is not only limited to products, it's also services business that we want to venture into. Corporate sustainability and carbon neutral business is the next big thing that's going to come in, going to take over the world, I think. And every business is trying to create a brand image that they not only care about their customers and employees, but they also care about the society in which they thrive in. To portray this side of their branding, they have to be carbon neutral and they have to be sustainable. So they need a set of consultants to tell them how to achieve this kind of vision that they have for their business. So now we want to be their go-to person. For example, if a hospital or an educational institute wants to be eco-friendly, then we want to be their consultants and help them make their organization eco-friendly by helping them design their business processes, by helping them cut their waste, by helping them cut their plastic. So yes, we have a vision to enter into services, and soon you will hear about that as well.
I hope that you enter into it, because I think services as a business is also, it's very scalable. And I think it's also, I understand that you're doing it for sustainability, but you need to make sure that enough money comes in so that the shop keeps going on. So services as a business, I feel, is very lucrative. I think the margins there are great. Also, the potential of change that you can bring through services is exponential, isn't it? Because at one point of time, you can just be sitting at your home and you can connect with different companies and you can bring a lot of change through services. So I think
That's
that's a,
correct, Siddharth.
yeah,
Yeah.
the potential there is awesome. I think services as a business, and definitely because if you see Infosys, there was news that Infosys had recently gone carbon neutral, and I think a lot of other companies also will see that, and this is what's driving investment opportunities as well, because companies in the market, they want to be perceived as eco-friendly, they want to be perceived as carbon neutral. So I think the potential there is great, and your vision itself is amazing, and what you're doing, giving employment to other people, and the products that you're developing is amazing. So I wish you guys all the best. My last question to you is, Shreyas, I want to ask you this. How do you feel when you're working with your brother who is a co-founder? Like what's that feel like?
You don't have to look out for a constant source of inspiration when you have your elder brother as a co-founder in the team.
That's great. That's great. And I remember asking this pre-show as well. What are the disadvantages? What are the disadvantages when you have an elder brother as a co-founder of a company?
Not many, but yeah, you if he is focusing on something, or if he is pushing some, like, what should I say, if he wants to convey something which has to be taken care of, then you have to do it, because he is a co-founder and as well as he is your elder brother, so you have to listen to him.
Sankalp, is that right?
uh, to an extent, I would say. So
Okay.
then
Honesty.
you cannot put emotions and your work aside when you're working with your brother, and I take advantage of that sometimes.
That's I think that's good. Honesty is a good policy. So yeah, that's good. And again, I wish you guys all the best for this venture. Thank you for coming on the show. It was great to have you guys, and I hope you enjoyed. This is the first podcast that you're doing, but I hope that all the other podcasters who are listening to the show, and to, if anyone's working in a company, in a big short company, and you want to become carbon neutral, Value Earth can help you do that. So I thank you guys for coming on the show, and we'll stay in touch.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, that does it for today's edition of Vyapar. You can find out more about Value Earth from their website and their Instagram page. I will keep the links in the description. Also, do let us know what you think of the show. We would, love to know if we can make any, changes in the format, and if you have any suggestions. Also, if you're listening and you are the owner of a brand or of a company, and if you're an entrepreneur yourself, you can reach out to us. I would love to cover your story. And that does it for today's episode. We will see you next week.